mountains in the central region of the country are exploding with fall colors as the leaves are changing. And even news of the first snow of the season, that was told and observed over Mount Seorak over the weekend. But, some mountains are seeing spring flowers bloom already in what's been an unseasonably warm fall. Trees in the southern regions are still more or less green, as temperatures haven't dropped enough here for them to start putting on their beautiful fall colors. So, things are a bit confusing as far as fall outings are concerned. But remember, whenever you go up to the mountains, safety is of utmost importance. It always comes first. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, October 22nd on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, wavers. I hope you're all doing well. And I have to say, the rain, it was coming down really hard as we all made our way to the station, at least for staff. So, before anything, of course, as I just said, safety is really important. And that includes days like this, when it's really coming down hard. So let's make sure that we're well prepared. And if you need to go anywhere today, to go to work, etc., that you leave a little early. Well, it is peak hiking, picnicking, and general outing season here in Korea. Maybe not necessarily today, but generally speaking. So if you're in the southern regions, you may be disappointed at the lack of color. So the Korea Meteorological Administration says that the fall foliage that has begun when about 20% of the leaves have changed. And at peak foliage, 단풍 절정. That's what it's called in Korean. This is when the color change has reached about 80%. So this year, only mountains in the central regions in Gangwon have reached full foliage. And that is because you need morning lows to go down to under 5 degrees Celsius with big temperature differences, and we certainly have not seen the temperatures go down to the single digits this season. Not yet. Oddly enough, though, there are some parts in the country where spring flowers, 봄꽃, have already begun to bud, and this too is because of this kind of bizarro world, this weather that we've been having. And this goes in line with fall. The season autumn getting shorter and shorter at 64 days on average. That's for the past decade. So we don't know when or if we're really going to see that full, lush, fall foliage with the colors turning so beautiful auburn and orange and red. But when it does come, I think we're going to have a very short window is my guess. We're going to have to enjoy it while we can. Actually, if you think about it, we only have 30 to 50 seasons, depending on how old you are, that we may enjoy this time of year in our lifetime. And I don't mean to be morbid, but more to kind of encourage all of us to kind of seize the moment, as they say. I know it sounds very cliche, but thinking about how many, more of these beautiful autumn seasons that we're going to see in our lifetime, I don't know. It's time to get out there. So that is related to our text topic today. Real simple today. Let's share information and recommendations on your favorite fall spots, both here in Korea and abroad. Where do you like to go when it's fall, whenever fall may be for you, where the leaves, they may change or they may not change depending on where you are. 자, 사실 생각해보면요, 우리가 살면서 앞으로 한 30번쯤 아니면 50번까지의 가을을 느낄 수 있을 것 같은데요. 조금 슬프네요. 그렇게 생각하니까. 이 기회를 완전히 즐기기 위해 서로 가봤을 때 좋았던 혹은 꼭 여기는 가보고 싶다. Kind of like a mini bucket list of sorts. 서로 공유했으면 좋겠습니다. So send in your recommendations. Yes. Of places that you've been to, places that you want to go to. And we don't have that many we're not like 10 years old, right? So I'm just saying, theoretically, 30, maybe 50 times maximum in terms of enjoying these fall outings. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So when you get to that platform, search for BEFM, 부산영어방송 to subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. Also, pound 9050, that's on your phone, shop 9050. However, if you send your message that way, it's going to cost you 100 won. The good news is you can send in your messages for free through Kakao Talk as well. Same thing there. Go to find our channel, go to Kakao, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel, and you can send in your messages, and you can send your photos as well. The ways you can listen to us, to tune into us, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio dial here in the Busan area. Also, like I said, on the YouTube platform, we are streaming live every day, Monday through Friday. So we're streaming live right now. You can also check us out later at your leisure. We have two apps that you can download. We have the BEFM app itself, or yes, we also have the Patbang app. Looking ahead to our Tuesday morning together, what do we have for you? We have Andrew. He's going to come in with all the latest in sports for Sports Insider. And then we have Bonnie with the health. And, she brings us great stories on how to maintain or improve our health. That's coming up in hour number 2. For a special interview today, we're going to be focusing on the latest in the war. Hamas leader, you may have heard, Yahya Sinwar, has been killed. What does this mean in the bigger context? We're going to find out with our expert. That's coming up in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07, and these are today's headlines. South Korea urges immediate withdrawal of North Korean troops from Russia. South Korea's foreign ministry strongly urged Russia to take immediate actions to withdraw North Korean troops from the war in Ukraine, as NATO Secretary General expressed concerns over the deployment. 한동훈 demands President address concerns over First Lady. Ruling People Power Party or PPP leader Han Dong-hun urged President Yoon Suk-yeol to address public concerns surrounding First Lady Kim Gun-hee by having her withdraw from public activities, conducting a personal reshuffle, and by appointing a special inspector. Leaders of rival parties agreed to hold second official talks. The leaders of the ruling People Power Party or PPP and the main opposition Democratic Party or DP agreed yesterday to hold another round of official talks following their first meeting last month. Putin hosts BRICS summit to show off Russia's global influence. Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold a meeting of the BRICS bloc of developing economies in a move to show the West that it cannot keep Russia off the global stage. Opening game of Korean series suspended due to rain. The opening game of the Korean Baseball Championship Series was suspended by rain in Gwangju yesterday, the first such occurrence in the Korea Baseball Organization or KBO history. And this was today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, before we dive into our updates for Busan, let's talk about this. Fall outings. Do you have any recommendations, places to go to?
I do. Let's see. All right. So
she has her phone out.
I have my phone out. I'm going to give you 2 and then maybe more on our YouTube chat. Join us on our YouTube chat.
Yes.
In Miryang, there's this old old scholarly site called 금시당, and they have this huge, massive ginkgo tree, 은행나무.
Oh.
But it's male. piece male. So they're the fruits, no fruits. Yeah, no smell.
Oh, good.
I mean, thank
goodness.
the tree gods for that.
Yes.
And then, I have a whole like course, like there's a restaurant and there's a cafe, which once again I won't say on air, and then let's go to Gyeongju, which like I know 불국사 is like such a hot spot, but lesser known area is 천년숲. So there's less traffic there, and it's a forest. There's like a little creek, and those sequoia trees, like metasequoia namu. So beautiful.
Right.
Yes.
My favorite spot is, I forgot the name of the temple itself, but it's in Cheongdo, and it's operated by an all-female
monks.
monastery. Yes.
어디요?
운문사.
운문사?
Yeah. That's correct. That is, I recognize the name. I've been there a couple times. Absolutely beautiful.
Put that in my map.
Yes. So that is a place I would recommend.
All right.
So romantic. Or you can go by yourself or with family, but it's really nice. The romantic part.
Thanks for covering all grounds, though.
Covering all my bases. Well, let's get into our first story. It's a serious one. So we've been trying so hard to prevent children from falling through what we call these social security, cracks or the safety net. But this tragedy occurred in Busan.
Right. So a woman in her 20s, she is currently under arrest on charges of neglecting her 18-month-old child to death. So the child is unfortunately dead. The Busan Metropolitan Police said that they have arrested the young woman on charges of child abuse and negligence resulting in death. So the exact circumstances of the death are not clear, but the baby was severely underweight when found, and there were apparently signs of negligence. And the police will conduct an autopsy to figure out the exact cause of death.
So tragic to hear about. Was the child registered in terms of like the birth?
Right. So this is the larger systems issue that's that may be at play, and one that may be more important for us moving forward. No, to answer your question, the child was not registered. The baby was born at a hospital somewhere in the capital area in April and received a temporary newborn number from the hospital in this last April.
Yes.
But he or she had not been registered. But the birth mother came to Busan back in May of this year, and she only registered her change of address with Haeundae district and not the baby. But this also means that the government for the past year and more has been conducting these extensive surveys and searches into preventing in order to prevent this from happening.
Yes.
And it seems that there are still gaps in the system, at least with this one particular case. So the child actually wasn't even on the government's watch list of unregistered children. So the city and the district, they suspect that this particular child had been left out of the government survey and made the necessary report to the central government.
Once again, such a tragedy. And we don't want to report on stuff like this. But, once they pop up on our radar, it's our job to do so. All right, next, we have a major job fair coming up this week.
We do. So the Busan Job Festival takes place this Thursday, the 24th. The event is hosted by Busan City with around 200 companies and institutions participating.
Sure.
So some of them will be conducting interviews on the scene and job consultations. There will be companies encompassing tourism, MICE, IT, auto parts, shipbuilding, manufacturing, and much, much more. And you'll also get opportunities and events for job seekers across all age groups. And for companies themselves, if participating firms hire a full-time worker and keep that person on board for 6 months, the city will provide cash compensations for the company.
Okay.
Yeah, once again, the event is this Thursday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Bexco's Exhibition Hall number 1.
All right. Sounds good. Good luck to all the job seekers, by the way. Let's move on and talk about another major event coming up this Thursday. So I believe that's like the kickoff of Busan UN Week.
Right. So this year's Busan UN Week, it is hosted by the city of Busan and run by the Busan Global City Foundation.
Yes.
And that's the foundation that we belong to. So the event has been in place since 2019. And, Busan, of course, is the home to the world's one and only UN Memorial Cemetery.
Yes.
And to have Busan become an international city of peace. So this year, there are multiple programs, 21 all in all, divided into appreciation and memorial under the vision of the Global Hub City of Busan. So the events will include the World Peace Forum, a walking event on the UN Peace Road, and the Global Memorial event turned toward Busan.
Yes.
And for details on these 21 events, you can go to UN Weeks, that's with an S, in Busan.or.kr.
All right, that is coming up, so let's mark that. For our final bit...
actually, I do want to throw this in there because one such program is put on by BFM, us, and actually you. So Catherine will be one of the hosts of the World Peace Forum, but following that forum, which is hosted by the Busan Global City Foundation, we have a special peace concert, Singing for Peace. And so that forum itself takes place next Friday at the Nurimaru APEC House, and the concert follows right along. The concert is hosted by a couple of our familiar voices as well, Minsu and Nick, with performances by Waniwa, who's a singer who came from Myanmar on asylum, and Eckerd, an indie singer from the UK, 국악 group 이쁠, and once again, our own Kim Johan Kim. So,
yay. So come check us out.
Right.
All right. And now we're going to get to our final story where the city's biggest folk art and culture festival, it is scheduled for this coming weekend.
Right. So the 2024 Busan Folk Art Festival begins on October 26th and will go on for 2 days. So the event seeks to showcase and also raise public awareness over the city's intangible cultural assets. So that would be 무형문화재. And this year there will be multiple performances and participatory events for the general public, including 국악 performances by the students at the Busan Arts High School, taekwondo demonstrations, and various traditional artistic performances.
Sure.
Also, you, for yourself, you can come and try on different outfits for traditional dances and even have a chance to play those traditional instruments. So once again, that is on the 26th and the 27th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Sounds good. Thank you for the updates, Haley. Now back to you, the waivers out there. So we're talking about fall, autumn, whatever you want to call it. And the thing is, it's so short these days. It seems really short because we had such a really, really long hot summer. So we're trying to enjoy the best of fall right now. Let us know what your recommendations are. Give us the 411, the info on your favorite fall spots, both here in Korea and abroad. Here's your traffic and weather. It is now time for your traffic report. It is looking slow right now on Bunyeonglo from the Wondong ramp to Suyong Tunnel. Also backed up on Dongso overpass from Hwangyong ramp to the old Kegum tollgate. As for the weather, it is 19 degrees Celsius as the rain. It is coming down this morning, and it will continue throughout the day with a daytime high expected to go up to 25 degrees Celsius. Looking across the nation, the rain is coming down pretty much everywhere with over 100 millimeters forecast for the southern parts of the country. There is poor visibility this morning, so please drive extra safely, carefully, and make sure your headlights are on as well because it's awfully dark out there. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest, and we're going to dive in with Haley into our first story. Let's start with the key points from the highly anticipated meeting between President Yoon Suk-yeol and People Power Party or PPP leader Han-Dong-hun.
Right. So highly anticipated, but may have been not as fruitful as some may have hoped. So Han-Dong-hun presented 3 demands to the president. Number 1, a staff overhaul at the presidential office. This comes amid allegations that some are wielding undue influence related to the First Lady.
Yes.
Speaking of the First Lady, second demand for First Lady Kim Gon-hee to step down from public appearances. And finally, for the presidential office to make efforts to resolve issues regarding her scandals.
Okay.
And Han is said to have emphasized the need for change as public opinion is really worsening over these past affairs and scandals. But the Yongsan office, the presidential office, didn't really provide much detail into what happened at the meeting. Simply said that the two sides agreed to become one for the success of the administration. So it seems that the president himself didn't really respond or accept these requests. And Han-Dong-un's side seems to be that the ball is now in the president's court.
Okay.
And as for outside the meeting, the opposition Democratic Party, they criticized this meeting as having been fruitless and accused the president of only trying to protect his wife amid these mounting allegations. And they're actually the DPs pushing for the special counsel bills against the First Lady again and again.
That's right. And so this meeting comes as President Yoon recorded his lowest approval ratings.
Right. So Han Dong-un's opinion does have merit, at least according to this latest opinion poll. President Yoon Suk-yeol's approval ratings fell to 24.1%, once again, the lowest since he took office 2.5 years ago. And this is according to a Real-Meter poll that was commissioned by the Energy Economy newspaper, conducted over 2,510 people between October 14th and the 18th.
Yes.
So the poll showed the highest negative rating and also the lowest positive rating since he took office. So once again, 24.1% of those surveyed said that he was doing a good job. This is 1.7% lower than the previous low, which was fairly recent.
Yes.
On the other hand, 72.3% said that he wasn't doing a good job in governance, which is a full point higher than in the previous week. And what was notable is that these records come as Yoon is seeing drops in the traditional support base.
Oh.
So we're talking about the conservative TK, the Daegu Gyeongbuk region, which saw an 8% drop in approvals and also 7% drop in the PK Busan Gyeongnam area. There was also a decline in approval ratings amongst the younger generation at 6 points for those in their 20s and 2.6 points for those in their 30s.
So it's like across the board.
Right, right. So Real Meter analyzed that the key problem areas were the First Lady, her scandals involving these influence peddling allegations, especially from this particular pollster, and Myung Tae-gyun, and also the prosecution's recent decision to not indict the First Lady over the Deutsche Motor scandal. By the way, a little bit more detail on the poll. It has a 95% rate of confidence with plus or minus 2 points margin of error.
Well, thanks for breaking it down by the demographics and also the regions as well. So leaving that story there for now, we're going to move on and talk about the road and traffic authorities. They had used drones to catch people, for traffic infractions, catching over 20,000 cases per year, but they are not doing this starting this year?
Right. So they're currently not doing it. So let's figure out why. So the Korea Expressway Corporation, they use drones to crack down against illegal traffic infractions, concentrated around rest areas, these like sleeping pits and whatnot.
Yes.
And what happens is the drones will take photos of these infractions or videos and report it via the public safety app. So in the last several years, the corporation has increased the budget to triple the number of drones that are in operation.
Okay.
And this has led to a 5-fold increase in the reports made from 4,000 back in 2020 when the system was first implemented to over 20,000 last year.
Okay.
By the way, the most common infraction was violation of designated lanes, 지정차로 위반, a failure to wear seatbelts. Fascinating how they can catch that. And a cargo overload for big trucks and cutting people off in traffic. But despite these results, some numbers speak for themselves, the corporation has stopped this project.
So the big question is why?
Privacy.
Oh.
Yeah. So last September, the Privacy Protection Act was revised. So that was last year, September, and went into effect. And the Personal Information Protection Commission, they pointed out that these reports using drones violate that law because, here's the thing, the Korea Expressway Corporation, it is a public institution, but it's not a law enforcement agency.
Oh,
it does not have judicial authorities to do this. So upon this, the police have taken over the work, at least partially, and they're directly cracking down against violations. And the police, once again, have begun to take photos using these drones, but that is adding to their work. So Democratic Party's lawmaker An Tae-jun, who's a member of the Land, Infrastructure and Transport Parliamentary Committee, said that the drones have been an effective way to watch these kind of previously uncovered areas without causing traffic congestion. So he called for ways for the Expressway Corporation to be able to carry out these activities without privacy concerns.
But that would mean that there would have to be like a change in the legislation.
Right.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. Privacy and public benefit, of course, this is a tricky balance, as we just talked about in our previous story, right? But values that are not mutually exclusive.
They don't have to
yes.
be.
But this next story, well, that, the whole idea of right versus wrong, clear as day and night, apparently, right?
And so frustrating when people choose to be in the wrong. We're talking about 몰카, illegal filming. By the way, the term 몰카 is being used like in English language outlets.
And that's unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate.
That it comes from Korea.
Right. So, by the way, on average, 19 cases of illegal illicit filming are found per day in South Korea. And these are the ones that are found and reported. And more people are buying micro cameras that are usually used for that purpose. So this is according to the Customs Office, figures released by PPP lawmaker Park Sung-hoon. Between January and September of this year, $4 million worth of micro cameras were imported into the country, or that's 5.5 billion won.
Right.
That's 34% higher than the entire year's worth from last year. Over 60% of the cameras were imported from China. So this unfortunately led to a corresponding increase in illegal filming. So the police agency data revealed 5,323 cases of illegal filming or 몰카 caught in the same period, January through September, or 19.4 cases per day. And that's on the rise from 18 last year. The thing is, these micro cameras, they do have a higher risk of being used for illegal purposes. So the lawmaker called for a need for countermeasures, especially ones that are concealed in everyday objects like glasses, watches. I've seen reports of those in water bottles.
Oh, gosh.
And you have to wonder, unless it is for that purpose we're thinking about, why do you
need it?
that?
Unless you're an investigative journalist.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Or the law enforcement.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. Lastly, let's look at some international news. King Charles III is in Australia for a visit. And let's just say the reception has been lukewarm at best.
Right. So King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla, they're on a state visit to Australia, which is a part of the British Commonwealth. So that means King Charles is at least, symbolically the head of state. So this is, since his coronation, the first visit to a Commonwealth country.
Right.
And also the first time in 13 years that a British monarch has visited Australia. And for Charles himself, as a man, Australia has a special place because he actually went to school there for a couple months when he was 17, and he has visited Australia on 15 different occasions as the Crown Prince. But is that feeling mutual? I mean, as individuals, maybe, but as like a country, that may be debatable. The reason, so all 6 state premiers, they're kind of like governors or heads of states in Australia, they RSVP'd no to his welcome reception.
Ooh, ouch.
Right. And his visit seems to have kind of amplified these calls that exist within Australia to go republic as opposed to a part of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
And then on top of that, kind of in a very telling incident, King Charles was heckled by a senator who's an Indigenous Australian, a member of the First Nation, during his speech to the parliament. So Lydia Thorpe, who's an independent senator from Victoria, she approached the stage yelling, "This is not your country." This, by the way, was not in the middle of the speech. It was after his speech. She's always been a fierce advocate for Indigenous rights. Called on him to, quote, "Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us, our bones, skulls, babies, our people." And she called for a treaty, basically calling for a republic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the tenor, what's going on in Australia with that visit by the monarch himself. Okay, well, we're going to leave all the news there. We'll check in with you in hour number 2, though. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
Everybody, this was Haley. And before we get into our first song, I have a message that I want to read today from Taejin, who says this. 처음으로 엄마랑 누나랑 저 이렇게 3명 교토 여행 가요. 70평생 해외여행 못 가보셨는데 기력이 있을 때 함께 여행해 보고 싶어 급하게 예약하고 다음 주 가요. 어제 엄마 첫 여권 만든다고 꽃단장하고 사진 찍는데 어느덧 나이가 많이 드신 것 같고 옷도 새 옷 사드리고 싶고 여행도 많이 가야 하는데 많은 생각이 들었던 하루였습니다. So he, to paraphrase, he's talking about the fact that he is going on a trip to Kyoto with his mother and his sister, his older sister. And I guess this is like the first time his mother even got getting her first passport. So it was really special to get the photo done and to get kind of dolled up for that first passport photo, which is always exciting. And he's realizing that, his mom is getting into her years and that he wants to make the best of it and go on more trips if possible. So, oh my goodness, what a lovely message. And of course, we wish you a very happy and safe trip. And how about this song, 엄마가 딸에게. This is by 양희은 and 김유리.
난 잠시 눈을 붙인 줄만 알았는데 벌써 늙어 있었고 넌 항상 어린 아이일 줄만 알았는데 벌써 어른이 다 되었고 난 삶에 대해 아직도 잘 모르기에 너에게 해줄 말이 없지만 네가 좀 더 행복해지기를 원하는 마음에 내 가슴 속을 뒤져 할 말을 찾지 공부해라 아니야 그건 너무 교과서야 성실해라 나도 그러지 못했잖아 사랑해라 아니야 그건 너무 어려워 너의 삶을 살아라
한참 세상 살아는 줄만 알았는데 아직 15이고 항상 예쁜 딸로 머물고 싶었지만 이미 미움털이 박혔고 난 삶에 대해 아직도 잘 모르기에 배고픈 일들 정말 많지만 엄만 또 내 같은 말만 되풀이하며 내 맘의 문을 더 굳게 닫지
공부해라
그게 중요한 건 나도 알아
성실해라
나도 쓰고 있잖아요
사랑해라
더는 상처받고 싶진 않아 나의 삶을 살게 해줘
아니야 그건 너무 교과서야
성실해라
나도 그러지 못했잖아
사랑해라
아니야 그건 너무 어려워 너의 삶을 살아라 내가 좀 더 좋은 엄마가 되지 못했던 걸 용서해 줄 수 있겠니 넌 나보다는 좋은 엄마가 되겠다고 약속해 주겠니 랄라랄라랄라
was like thinking about my mom, kind of getting a little teary-eyed. So maybe today would be an excellent day for all of us, assuming that your moms are around or a mother figure, even your dad, that's fine, to give them a call, not a message. Pick up the phone and actually call them to hear their voice. Anyhow, before I get teary-eyed. Top story today, we're talking about fall outings and fall foliage, the turning of the leaves. As the weather is finally starting to cool down, hikers are already filling the trails of Mount Seorak and other mountains up further north where, I say basically this time of year when we have the changing of the leaves, it's a show. It's so beautiful, the leaves. The fall leaves. But this also means more accidents. And first responders have already had to conduct multiple rescues over the weekend. In fact, about a third of all hiking-related accidents happen between September and November. Did you know that? It's important to keep in mind that it gets dark much more quicker in the mountains. And the temperatures, they can plummet quickly as well. So it's really important to check the weather, to wear layers, and to be in proper hiking gear. And if you do get into an accident for any reason, please stay calm and call for help. And I would like to say, I think nowadays it's really a smart move, a good idea to go with somebody. To not go by yourself, just in case, you just never know. Even if you're healthy, if you fall, you just don't know. So when you're on the hiking trails, there are these yellow signs or the location markers. So in Korean, that's the 국가 지점 번호판 and the letters like bara, and then there's an 8-digit number. This is really helpful. This can help first responders find you quickly. And of course, we hope that that never happens to any of you, but just in case, you have that information now. All right, so we are now going to get to fall recommendations, both here in Korea and abroad. Where would you like to recommend our other waivers to go visit? So I already shared with you mine, right? Ummunsa. The reason why I like the very relatively smaller temple is I went there and it was just I felt so at peace. It was quite a bit of a walk from the parking area into the entrance of the temple, but still, nonetheless, so amazing. Ida says, I like the maple tree lined road in my apartment complex. When I walk down that road, it feels like I'm walking on a soft cushion of fallen leaves. That sounds really nice. And by the way, Cat's Pick later on in just a little bit, it's regarding fallen leaves. So we're going to get to that. This is Cat's Pick for today. Perfect segue into Cat's Pick for today. Autumn is in full swing, at least in most parts of our country, but especially in areas where there are lots of fallen leaves. And if you have a lawn, listen up. This is from CBS News.
Now follow this instruction. Leave the leaves this fall. Vanessa Murdoch covers climate and explains why letting leaves lie is good for your yard and the environment.
From colorful to crunchy. Leaves already fall off some trees, and over the next month, the rev of leaf blowers will become more commonplace and piles of leaves will grow curbside, much to the dismay of Elaine Silverstein. For more than 20 years, she's been part of the push to leave the leaves.
I have never once put my leaves to the curb, and I'm in Glen Rock 31 years now.
She says disposing of leaves throws away the future fertility of your soil. Instead, leave them in garden beds.
Well, you never have to do anything to the soil.
Don't leave a thick layer on your lawn. It will kill the grass.
A scattering on your lawn and you can still see the grass, simply just mow over them. They'll chop up and actually fertilize the soil for that grass.
Put the excess in the corner of your yard to compost. David Mizajewski with National Wildlife Federation says the natural leaf layer provides important habitat.
There are millions of animals that actually live in or rely on that natural leaf layer.
Fireflies, pollinating moths.
All of our songbirds feed their babies insects that spend the winter in that leaf layer.
According to Ms. Zajewski, leaving the leaves can also help combat climate change. It takes them out of landfills.
Underground, with no oxygen, they break down and produce methane, which is 25 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide is.
Would you consider leaving the leaves?
Just doesn't seem practical.
Probably not. I probably wouldn't like them to look messy.
Might look a little messy to some, but the benefits are beautiful.
I was thinking about this every time I go to school. The maintenance people at our school, they're so diligent and like raking the leaves constantly. And we have like little patchy lawn areas. And I don't know, is it rude to tell them, hey, maybe you want to leave a little bit of the leaves? Apparently, it's good for the ecosystem and the environment. And so maybe if you do have a lawn or you're in a grassy area, leave the leaves there. Not all of them, at least some of them. And so this was Kat's pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Sports Insider, which means Andrew's here.
What's up?
I did the manual reverb with my voice.
Yeah.
How are you?
We're here.
Yes. How was your weekend? I know you took a little trip because, you're like Insta 친구.
Yeah. So I was up covering the LPGA in Paju. And it's interesting, you were talking about leaves changing in the fall season. It was definitely chilly up there, especially on Friday after it rained. It took away the we'll say the last little bit of the warmth, if you want to say that. But we were surprised, actually. Shout out to my partner in crime, Jen, who we were following, Daniel Kang, for most of the weekend. And we were commenting on this, that the leaves didn't seem to have changed yet. Like it wasn't like, I remember a couple years ago we were in Wonju for the event, and everything was browns, oranges, reds,
really
yellows.
beautiful.
And then here it was still mostly green. Now, I don't know if it was because of the trees that were around the course, but it still didn't feel that, I don't know, that like fall.
Fallish.
But the weather did. The weather did. The
But
temperature
color-wise?
did. Color-wise, yeah, it was
Still a little
mostly
green.
green. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
For sure.
So how did it go?
Really good. Overall, the tournament, before we get to the winner here, I thought it was fantastic again. On Friday, play was suspended, so they had to finish the second round and get in the third round on Saturday, which was a pretty busy day for the golfers because most of them would have had to play probably 25, 26 holes on Saturday, which isn't ideal going into the final day.
Sure.
But for those who were playing well, I think it was good because it carried on through to Sunday. But Hannah Green has done it again. She's clinched her third victory of the 2024 season at the BMW Leagues Championship in Korea, in Paju at the Solwon Hills Golf Course. I guess I have to say that. Winning a wire-to-wire for the first time since 2019. This kind of puts her with an elite crew for this season because it puts her in with Nelly Korda, who kind of started with that three-peat,
It was amazing.
And we just assumed she was going to, go through the rest of the season like that. Well, things changed. Lydia Ko also with 3 wins on the season. So, it puts her into that group.
Yes. So really impressive. How did the final round of play go, though?
A nail biter. That's the easiest way to put it because, Hannah Green was there right from day one all the way to the end. And I don't know if it was just me, but a couple other people were like, can she maintain it? Because it wasn't like she came from behind, but it was like she was in the first or second place for the entire tournament.
Sure.
And then she went into the day with a 2-stroke lead. So a lot of people thought, okay, maybe she's got that cushion. But she herself said that she likes to make things interesting. Maybe not on purpose. And Thailand's Chiniti Wanasayan caught up to her. And then there was also a three-way tie.
Yes,
and then it went back
really.
to 2. And then France's Celine Boutier tied things up. But then on the 17th hole, Hannah Green was able to sink a birdie putt to take a one-stroke lead. And then just needed a par on 18. And it was, not a bad day's work for a cool
I love it, though.
$330,000.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice
exactly.
paycheck. But, when it's kind of thrilling the finish, I love it. I don't like it when,
exactly.
someone like Scheffler's, 5 strokes ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And I love him. He's a great golfer, but it's just not that exciting.
Yeah.
When you know who the winner's going to be on the
Definitely.
final day, right?
Exactly.
So how does she feel about her victory?
Well, we're going to get to a clip right here from the press conference after the event, and she'll explain how she felt.
Bit of a crazy finish, I guess. My caddy said to me at the start of the day, let's try and get a lead, and I had a bit of a cushion coming in, and I did not do that. I made it very interesting, but the putt on 17, I was very nervous. I was just very happy to see that one go in, and on the last hole, I was hoping I would have more of a tap in, but I like to make things interesting. But yeah, just super proud of myself for hanging in there because today's conditions were very tough.
Yeah.
So calm.
Yeah, I know, it's funny.
Relatively
But
speaking.
it was a crazy finish because I was standing on the 18th green, waiting for them to come in. And then, a couple groups before that, the French player, she, tied things up. So then everyone was like, ooh. And you could hear on the other greens, on the 17th, it was like, and it was like, oh, what just happened?
I know.
And then she sunk to birdie. But it was also because the Thai girl missed a gimme putt to put her in contention. And so I'm pretty sure if there's anybody who's disgruntled from the weekend, she had a fantastic third round, 6 under, and then, kind of mess up on the second to last hole.
All right, so big congrats to her.
Yes.
Hannah Green. Let's switch gears, and we're going to head to MLS?
Yeah, we don't
Major
usually...
League, I'm like, not the Premier League.
We don't usually talk
Bundesliga.
about the MLS too often.
Major League Soccer.
But, when Messi does something, we usually report on it, right?
Yes.
So Messi has done it again. He came off the bench to score an 11-minute hat trick.
Yes.
So you would think all right, you start the game, you throw it. No. He's like, oh, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Leading Inter Miami to a 6-2 victory over the New England Revolution. This win not only broke the MLS record season points record, but also made Messi the club's all-time leading scorer.
Yes.
I mean, he's only been there for a year.
Like a year and a half?
A year plus, yeah. So it was a tale of two halves. New England took the lead 2-0, but Luis Suarez scored twice before halftime to level the score. Messi entered in the 58th minute and immediately assisted on the go-ahead goal. And then he scored 3 goals between the 78th and the 89th minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for the team, Inter Miami?
Yeah, this was also the big news here was that it was a huge confidence boost as they head into the playoffs, but they've also secured the Supporters' Shield and a spot in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, which will be hosted in Miami. And Fiantino was there and he was talking about, they'll host the first game, the opening game, they'll kick it off. So, I don't know, interesting for them, that's for sure.
Okay, so speaking of soccer, we're going to keep it there, but let's go to the Premier League. It was a busy weekend.
It was a busy weekend, so it was another thrilling weekend in the Premier League with VAR once again taking center stage. Liverpool maintained their 1-point lead over Manchester City at the top of the table, with both teams securing hard-fought victories. Well, I was watching. I'm a Liverpool fan. Any longtime listener would know this.
Yes.
And I'm watching the Man City game, just like tie. Because it was 1-1 against Wolves of any team. Anyway, so it didn't happen. Yeah. So we'll get to that game. We'll talk about that game first. So City had to come from behind. Wolves took a surprise lead early on. A surprise because no one really saw that coming. And then Vardiol equalized with a stunning goal. The real drama came in the 95th minute.
95th minute.
Now, this is where either you want VAR to be involved because they're going to get the right call, or you just want them out of the situation altogether, and it's like a clear-cut breakaway. Someone puts the goal into the corner, something like that. Wasn't really like that. John Stones scored what proved to be the winner, and then the goal was initially ruled out for offside.
Okay, and then?
But then was awarded after a lengthy VAR review. And I think they did get it right. It's not, something where you're looking back at it going like, oh, wow, they really threw it away on that one.
Right,
But,
right.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad.
I'm sure that the managers probably had different reactions.
Yeah, so Pep Guardiola from Manchester City was obviously, well, maybe we could even say elated, like, you know, obviously.
Yes.
Because at that point, they did go top of the table until Liverpool played later in the evening. While Wolves manager Gary O'Neill was frustrated because this has also happened to Wolves last season, but also like a few times last season. Now,
And they're at the bottom.
Of
the table.
Yeah, they're the odds-on favorite to be relegated, which is Hong Yi-Chen. We hope for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, well, I do also want to talk about Liverpool versus Chelsea.
Yeah.
And also Tottenham.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. All right, so Mo Salah opened the scoring from the penalty spot. Chelsea equalized early in the second half through Nicholas Jackson, but Curtis Jones, who I had to say became a father earlier in the week. So this is really special for him. He doesn't score a lot of goals, but, you know, pretty special for him.
Yes.
VAR was involved in several key decisions, including overturning a Liverpool penalty and confirming Chelsea's goal after an initial offside call. So it was, you know, I'm not someone who's like, I love VAR, but I do think it has its place as long as the people in the booth know what they're doing.
Like, are your eyes open sometimes?
Yeah.
I just want to ask sometimes.
Yeah.
Are we watching the same match?
Exactly. On to the Spurs West Ham game that you wanted to talk about.
But it's not, okay, I love Son Heung-min, but that's not why I want to talk about it. It's not.
Okay.
There was like, is it Kudus? How do you say his name?
Yeah.
The guy who's like slapping people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was blatant.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like.
That's where we needed VAR.
Yeah.
For that. You know, but
Yes.
I don't really know. So, yeah, Spurs did end up winning 4-1 in that game.
Right.
But I was like, it was funny. We were watching a little bit of it, and then we went out to eat. And then it was like, I checked the score, because I was watching it on my phone. And then
Spurs were losing 1-0
yeah,
in the beginning.
I was like,
first half.
yeah, Spursy, here we go. And then it was like, oh, it was one, and it was like, where did the other 3 goals come from?
Right. It was like amazing.
bang, bang, bang.
And then that fight, it was
pretty much a fight, yeah. Full on.
His hands were clearly on other people's faces. So, and got the red card.
I had an old student actually who was at that game. That, you know, you can go to the stadium early.
Yes.
And he ended up getting Sonny's autograph on his jersey, which is really cool. I don't know. I haven't talked to him, so I'm not sure if it was because he yelled down in Korean and got his attention, or you know, because it really, because his mom had the camera on it, and it looked like he was walking past and then turned back. So it very well could have been. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for all the sports. We'll check in with you next week.
Have a good one.
And with that, final song, Time is Running Out by Muse. I'll be back at 8.
I'm drowning, asphyxiated. I wanna break the spell that you've created. You're something beautiful, a contradiction. I wanna play the game, I want the friction. You will be the death of me. Yeah, you will be the death of me. Bury it, I won't let you bury it. I won't let you smother
지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 대한민국의 굳건한 성장 동력으로서 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 문화, 디지털, 첨단 산업의 중심지인 글로벌 허브 도시로 나아가고 있습니다. 이를 위해 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 부산을 대표하는 도시 외교의 플랫폼을 지향합니다. 세계 평화도시 부산의 브랜드를 강화하는 부산유엔위크와 부산 글로벌 도시 포럼, 유라시아 도시 외교단, 개발협력 포럼, 그리고 세계 시민축제는 부산의 소프트파워의 상징으로 자리매김하고 있습니다. 부산영어방송도 시민과 함께 영어하기 편한 도시, 세계와 경쟁하며 더불어 살아가는 부산을 만들어가겠습니다. 시민이 행복한 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 함께합니다.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. South Korea urges immediate withdrawal of North Korean troops from Russia. South Korea's foreign ministry strongly urged Russia to take immediate actions to withdraw North Korean troops from the war in Ukraine by summoning their Russian ambassador to Seoul yesterday. Russian ambassador Georgy Zinoviev said that Moscow's cooperation with Pyongyang is not directed against South Korea's security interests via a social media post later. This comes as NATO chief Mark Rutte expressed concerns over the deployment after talking with President Yoon Suk-yeol on the phone. North Korea's representative at the United Nations refuted the claims, calling them a baseless rumor at the UN headquarters in New York. 한동훈 demands president address concerns over First Lady. Ruling People Power Party or PPP leader Handoong-hoon urged President Yoon Suk-yeol to address public concerns surrounding First Lady Kim Gun-hee by having her withdraw from public activities, conducting a personnel reshuffle, and by appointing a special inspector. Han called for bold reforms in response to rising public discontent during his meeting with Yoon at the presidential office yesterday. That's according to Han's chief secretary, Park Jong-ha. And during the talks, the two also discussed various issues and agreed to collaborate on countering the opposition's offensive and advancing reform agenda, according to a source from the presidential office. Leaders of rival parties agreed to hold second official talks. The leaders of the ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the main opposition Democratic Party, DP, agreed yesterday to hold another round of official talks following their first meeting last month. A PPP official said that the invitation came from DP chair Lee Jae-myung, which PPP leader Han Dong-hoon accepted gladly. The two held their first official talks early last month and agreed to cooperate on livelihood issues, though they failed to reach consensus on other controversial issues. Putin hosts BRICS summit to show off Russia's global influence. Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold a meeting of the BRICS bloc of developing economies in a move to show the West that it cannot keep Russia off the global stage. The alliance, formed to counterbalance the Western-led world order, has been expanding rapidly, and leaders from China, India, Turkey, and Iran will be in attendance. Putin's foreign policy aide said that over 20 heads of state will hold bilateral meetings with Putin for possibly the biggest foreign policy event ever held on Russian soil. Opening game of Korean series suspended due to rain. The opening game of the South Korean Baseball Championship Series was suspended by rain in Gwangju yesterday, the first such occurrence in the Korea Baseball Organization or KBO history. Game 1 of the Korean series between the home team Kia Tigers and the Samsung Lions was put on hold at 9:24 p.m., with the Lions leading 1-0 in the top of the 6th inning at Gwangju Kia Champions Field, with the umpires reaching a decision to suspend the game at 10:09 p.m. The game is scheduled to resume at 4 p.m. today, from the point of termination prior to the regularly scheduled Game 2. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Wa글와글, which means Haley's back in the studio.
Hello, hello.
All right. First story is one that kind of kept on popping up on our news feed. You might have seen it. It's the whole Busan roundhouse kick or round kick assailant. Apparently, he's been ordered to pay 100 million won to his victim.
Right. So this is the Busan 돌려차기 case, the roundhouse kick assailant who brutally attacked a stranger who was on her way home with the intent of raping her. And he has been found guilty of these charges. Well, he's been ordered by the civil court to pay the victim 100 million won, 1억 won in compensations.
Okay.
So this ruling came down from the Busan Regional Civil Court yesterday, filed by the victim against the perpetrator, identified by surname Lee. So the defendant, Lee, he actually never once showed up to court. I mean, of course, he is behind bars, but he could have petitioned to appear in court, nor has he submitted a written opinion. So the court accepted his silence as an admission. So Yi did, after this, submit an appeals request. However, he didn't file the proper paperwork, nor pay the transmittal fees, the court fees, to get this going. So that petition was turned down. However, despite the ruling having come down, it may not be easy for the victim to receive said compensation because the court would need to seize his assets to do that. But if he doesn't have assets under his name, then there's nothing to seize. Right. So then this becomes practically impossible. So for his part, the defendant has persistently made threatening comments against the victim, even while he has been behind bars, and that's according to people who have been his cellmates or have shared the same facilities as him. He's currently serving 20 years in prison on attempted rape and murder, but this also means that he will be in his early 50s when he is released. Yeah.
All right. First story there. Next story. Weight loss medication Wegovy has been approved for usage here in South Korea, but there are concerns of this being used for purposes other than its explicitly medically approved usage.
Right. So what is Wegovy supposed to be used for? Well, it's a weight loss medication that's approved only for, number one, adults who have obesity or excess weight.
Okay.
And it's a weekly injection. So this works by targeting the part of the brain that's basically in charge of your appetite. So it regulates your appetite. So it can increase the feeling of fullness, and it reduces the feeling of hunger, or reduces preference for foods that have been linked to weight gain, so high fat or high calories. But the concern has always been in countries that have already implemented this, and you've covered the story for Hollywood stars, that people who don't medically necessarily need it maybe
they're not like
on
obese.
Right. So because we mean that because they're not in maybe normal weight ranges, they want to lose weight not for medical purposes, but for cosmetic reasons.
Yes.
So it seems that concern has already come true in South Korea, and we are in week 1 of this medication having been in place.
I'm not surprised, though.
I'm not surprised, and that was always a concern.
Yes.
So this is according to an exclusive report by Chosun Biz. They're citing an example of an influencer who has 110,000 followers online. So she wrote on her social media page that she got hold of Wegovy, and she starts with her weight of 55 kilograms. That's her current weight. That's not her goal. And she is 171 centimeters tall.
For that height, that's really on the slim side.
Right. So she says she'll check back in within a week. So here's the thing. This is under the approval under the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety.
Sure.
This drug is only supposed to be used for obesity patients who have a BMI body mass index of 30 or those with 27 BMI who have other weight-related diseases like high blood pressure or diabetes.
I see.
So by the way, I did my math, or I had a website do the math. If you are 171 centimeters with 55 kilograms, your BMI is 18.8.
That's on the lower
That is on the lower end of the normal weight range. So she's not quite underweight, but she's actually like right on the precipice.
Yes.
So this post also comes off as promotional because she has like hashtag Wegovy. And by the way, this is despite the Food and Drug Safety authorities having warned that they are going to do a crackdown against illegal sales and promotions.
My question is this, though. How can someone with, within this normal range, a BMI body mass index, get a hold of this drug?
Right, because it is prescription only.
Right.
But she claims that she used a remote, so telemedicine service. And she also gave, and this is where it becomes problematic, detailed instructions on how and where her followers also may get access. And she is not medically, qualified or in any way to give medical advice.
Right.
And this is exactly what the experts have warned that we have seen with other obesity medication. And, the thing is, these are drugs and they have side effects to varying degrees.
Yes.
So side effects can range from nausea, vomiting, gallbladder inflammation, and gallbladder stones, pancreatic inflammation, and even bleeding. There have been individual studies that have suggested a significant correlation between the use of these drugs, such as Wegovy and Ozempic, and ideations of suicide. So that's not stamped on officially by any food and drug ministries, but there are studies that suggest this. So.
And the thing is, once again, this is a prescription. It's a prescribed medicine for those that really need it. I certainly hope it's not going to get abused, but I don't know. Our country seems to be obsessed with weight. So next up, SNL Korea, Saturday Night Live Korea, is under fire for a couple of the recent parodies of very well-known figures.
Right. So in its latest episode, SNL Korea Season 6 had different skits depicting Hani of New Jeans and her appearance at the parliamentary audit, and also of author Hangang. So this is actress Ji Eun who dressed up as Hani and impersonated her at the audit when she was speaking about her experience with alleged workplace bullying. Let's take a listen.
안녕하세요, 파만입니다. 직장 내 괴롭힘을 당해서 출석하게 됐습니다.
어떤 괴롭힘이 있었나요?
제가 회사 복도에서 옆 팀 직원분을 만나서 인사를 했는데 옆 팀 상사님이 야 그냥 무시해라고 하셨습니다. 그리고 저가 너무 슬펐습니다.
So as you can hear, so the actress is a born native Korean speaker. She is impersonating Hani's Korean accent. Keep in mind that Hani is Vietnamese Australian, so Korean is not her first language at all.
Insensitive.
Right, exactly. So netizens pointed out that for a Korean native speaker to impersonate a non-native speaker, well, that comes off as insensitive at best, mockery. Is it borderline racism? Although it may not have been intended that way. Others pointed out, so I watched the entirety of the skit. The intention seems to not poke fun at Hani, but poke fun at the lawmakers and business leaders who are very excited about the presence of a celebrity. And actually, one particular CEO whose company is under workplace violation issues, he took a selfie with her. So he was actually under fire, and they did parody that particular aspect. But once again, was the accent necessary is the point
Right.
that some others are making. For author Hangang,
Right.
another actress impersonated Hangang. In this, she seems to have imitated a past interview of Han, and you can see the visual screen grab on her YouTube.
Right.
And it shows some exaggerated body movements or features. So she would hunch her back, kind of like do like a sleepy eye, like only open her eyes halfway, and have an excessive drawl. So this also came with mixed responses of people who found the depiction offensive versus who said that, well, it's just an impersonation and not mockery, and said that South Korea seems to be too strict in like satire and parodies. But comments are also divided. So some people are saying like that was a joke, you need a sense of humor, versus, well, then, the point of satire as it began was to poke fun at the powerful. It was a tool for those without power to kind of, have opinions about the powerful through humor.
Okay.
So are Hani and Hangang, individuals of power is the question that others might be raising.
Well, very interesting. I can see why I'm sure viewers and the comments are probably divided on this issue.
Right.
Some might argue, well, it is a cable program, freedom of speech, versus still there's a line that sometimes should not be crossed.
Exactly.
Right. So we're going to leave that story there. For our final story, we're going to go to the U.S., the U.S. presidential election, where Elon Musk has pledged a cash giveaway for voting. It's true.
Speaking of a line that maybe shouldn't be crossed, so Elon Musk has one of the richest men in the world said he'll give away $1 million per day to registered voters in key swing states until election day. So it's not just one person giveaway, it's from now until November 5th. So he said that people can enter by signing this pro-U.S. Constitution petition set up by his campaign group. But his campaign group is set up to support Donald Trump, and he has publicly endorsed Donald Trump.
Right.
And he did give out his first couple of checks. First one to an attendee at a town hall event in Pennsylvania, major swing state. So speaking of swing states, the contest is open to voters in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. These are all key battleground states, and pundits have said that the handful of these states will ultimately decide the race for the White House.
Yes, and regardless of who you are supporting, people are free to campaign for whomever. But I think the problem, or experts might think, it gets murky when there's actual money involved.
And he seems to have maybe consulted lawyers who made that line very ambiguous.
Okay.
All right, here's what the law says. Under the U.S. federal law, anyone who pays or offers pay or accepts pay either for registration to vote or voting, they are in violation of the law, and they can face fines or a 5-year prison sentence.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Technically, he's not doing that. Musk is asking voters to sign a form, not explicitly vote for anyone. So the thing is, this isn't necessarily universal or fair, because only people who are registered voters in these specific states can sign the form. So that could be where the illegality lies. And by the way, that petition is specifically for free speech and gun rights, which is a very partisan affiliated issue. But then there may be a loophole in the U.S. election law because no one is being directly paid to vote.
Yes.
So, so that's where we are.
Well, we'll see what happens come November 5th. All right, we're going to wrap it up for Wa글와글, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
And with that, let's get to our next song. This is, weather and traffic. This is so important today because it's raining cats and dogs, as people are saying. Here's your traffic report. It is now 8:17. Here's your traffic report here in Busan. It's looking slow on 중앙대로 from Yeonsan intersection to City Hall. It's also backed up on 충렬대로 from Mandok Tunnel number 2 to Minam intersection. There's also traffic on Yeonsuro from Suyeong intersection to Mangmi intersection going both ways. It is 20 degrees Celsius as you are telling me the waivers that it is pouring, literally, cats and dogs, you're saying, really pouring down this morning. Rain will continue throughout the day with a daytime high expected to go up to 25 degrees today. Rain is coming down across the nation right now with over 100 millimeters cast for parts of the southern areas. There is poor visibility this morning, so please drive carefully. Make sure your headlights are on as well. Slow down today. This was your traffic and weather. And here's another song request. This is My Way by Frank Sinatra.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. it was my way.
For some reason, Leslie says this song is making me think of Christmas music. But, you know, I don't know. Every time I hear anything from Frank Sinatra, it just kind of puts a smile on my face. And I'm sure many of you were singing along with our other waivers as well. All right, let's get to our text topic one last time. Today, we've been asking you to send in messages, recommendations for your favorite fall spots, both in Korea and abroad. So I saw a message earlier from Benny, and he was saying, like, you know, I guess where he is in his neck of the woods in the Philippines, not really much of a fall season. So like I said, depending on where you are, because like even growing up in LA, in the Los Angeles area, there was a very brief fall season, but actually for like that neck of, you know, that area, there's not much of a winter. So I guess you could say it's like an extended fall. So I really enjoy the fall season. But here, you know, where we have, well, not right now. Because in Busan, I was taking a peek out the window just like yesterday. And I was like, when are the leaves going to change? The colors, it's so green. Everything still looks really, really green. So I'm sure many of you here in the southern regions are wondering, like, when's it going to turn the colors? When are they going to turn? Maybe not right now, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we can really enjoy the fall foliage, the turning of the colors of all the leaves. And if you do go out, once again, to the mountains, let's be responsible and make sure that we're safe. Also, we don't start any fires inadvertently, things like that. And for now, we're going to get to our special interview. One of the main masterminds behind the October 7th Hamas-led attack on Israel and leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, was killed by Israeli forces last week. So the death of Sinwar has sparked renewed hopes for maybe an end to this very long conflict, as throughout the months of truce or, you know, at least ceasefire negotiations, both Sinwar and the Israeli government, they had been unwilling to come to an agreement. And meanwhile, in Lebanon, Israeli forces have expanded their operations targeting Hezbollah-affiliated financial branches. So as things escalate in the Middle East, we have invited back to the airways Professor Michael Burch, Associate Professor of Political Science at Eckerd College. Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on, as always.
Yes. And from what I understand, we were trying to have you on air last week, but, you know, the previous time we had spoken, you had mentioned, yes, Hurricane Helene had affected the campus. But this time around, Hurricane Milton, obviously you're okay now, but how has this affected you? Are you okay?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. My family and I are doing well. It was, the Tampa Bay area where Eckerd is located had gone 120 years without a direct hit from a storm. And so this was our first direct hit. And so we went, about 3-4 days, some of my friends and colleagues, 5-6 days without power, water, sewage. And we really got to see that, some of the city infrastructure was really challenged by this storm.
Oh, my goodness. Well, terrible to hear about. Of course, we've been reading up and we've been talking about the after effects, but I'm glad that your loved ones are okay now. So thanks for sharing with us the details of your experience. So we are going to get into our first question for you regarding what's going on first with Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas in Gaza. So has it been confirmed, basically that, yes, he has been killed?
Yes, and one of the ways that the death was confirmed is that, Yahya Sinwar had been a prisoner in Israeli jail for a long time. And so while he was there, teeth pictures of teeth, DNA samples were taken of all prisoners, and so they were able to confirm that it was him. And we now see also the rhetoric from Hamas itself, the surviving members, the political and military leadership signaling that, yes, Sinwar has died. It's always a question in those first couple of hours or even days, but it has been confirmed that he has died.
I see. And now with, his passing, there are already talks of possible new leaders coming to the forefront. For example, Khalil Al-Hayya and Khalid Mashal. How might the choice of leader affect the current Hamas relationship with other countries? For example, Iran, Turkey, or even Qatar?
Well, I think, one thing that Hamas is signaling and may even pause on is even announcing a new leader. There's been some speculation waiting until next March to formally announce a new leader. Or at times, during the Second Intifada, in the beginning of the 21st century, we would see some of the Palestinian groups, after an Israeli targeting killing of a leader, not announce a new leader to try to give some degree of stability for that group. In the cases of the individuals you mentioned, Khalid Mashal, it would be a bit of a surprise because he had formerly been the political leader of Hamas, and it had that he had served his time as the head, and he has stepped in after the previous assassination, stepped in an interim role. And because he's been such a presence in the past and working out of Qatar, that we could expect him to have a prominent role in the next few months, but it would be surprising if Hamas went back to him permanently.
I see. Well, now that we've discussed, maybe the future leadership of Hamas, what about Israel? What do you think Israel will do now? Do we have any idea as to what is next? Because, Sinwar being killed, that's pretty major. So the big question is, what's Israel going to do next? Are peace talks, are they ongoing right now?
Yeah, so the peace talks never formally end, or ceasefire talks.
Yes.
Peace talks might be a little too far for the two sides right now. But the catch is that, I think with the international community, we see President Biden of the United States, we see comments from the United Nations, hoping that, by being able to point to the, who has been identified as the mastermind of the October 7th attacks, Sinwar being killed, that Israel can declare a victory. And hopefully that would lead to them being more willing to compromise on ceasefire negotiations. The concern would be on the Hamas side, not wanting to signal weakness right now, right? So we probably won't see any immediate movements because they don't want to suggest how much damage this has caused their attempts, and especially this being the second leader this year, right, of Hamas that has been killed by Israel. So we see these the international community thinking this could be a breakthrough towards peace moment, but both sides are still going to want to perhaps proceed cautiously, especially with Israel wanting to wait until they know who the next U.S. president will be.
And so while we, of course, look ahead to the presidential election, which is very important, the U.S. Being a party to all of this, what about in Lebanon, though? How will Israel's recent airstrikes on the Hezbollah-affiliated financial branches in Lebanon affect or impact Hezbollah at large, but also the financial operations behind this campaign?
Yeah, it's interesting with these most recent attacks is that there's a lot of split within the Israeli security establishment and the international community about how effective they will be. And so what we have here is that Eckerd al-Hassan is the banking system that is used by members of Hezbollah. And they're not part of the international banking system. And so that one thing that means is that a lot of the finances are still like hard assets, right? Like most of, like we think most of our paychecks these days are just coming electronically here in the United States and in Korea. And so here it's still hard currency. So you can target that, and that could have an effect on the immediacy of Hezbollah's finances. However, it won't be that hard for Iran to send more hard currency reserves. So how much of an effect that this might have long term on the group is up for a lot of debate. It will have an immediate effect, but if Iran can replenish those finances for Hezbollah, it would be perhaps just more of an inconvenience for the group.
And switching our attention back to Israel for a second, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and with Hezbollah trying to target him directly, is this a marked shift in Hezbollah's approach toward Israel, targeting Netanyahu directly? What do you think?
It's definitely been a shift, and it's one that, is in some ways surprising that it hasn't happened before more prominently, in the sense that, Israel has had a policy of targeting killings and assassinations of these various violent non-state actors for decades now. And, these groups have not responded often in the same manner. And so seeing this, it is a shift in tactics. The thing that is scariest from the Israeli perspective in this is just that how far that this drone got into Israeli territory without anyone noticing. The Netanyahus were not at that residence at that time, so it was not a close call in that sense. But it signals that as much as Israel is proud of their defensive posture for dealing with the missiles, that when it comes to unmanned drones, there's still gaps in the infrastructure.
Indeed. And so when we talk about this area right now at large, Professor, there have been repeated requests, even, for example, from the South Korean government, like basically if you're non-essential, you should leave certain parts of this area. So how serious is it? Because, we often read about it, we talk about it, but we don't have a real sense of the urgency of the situation on the ground. So can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so I think, recognizing you have a variety, we're talking about a very large region, right?
Yes.
But I would not, if you're looking to 2025 vacation destinations, I would still stay away from Israel and Lebanon. And especially when we think of Lebanon, Israel formally identifying just the south as a place where people need to evacuate. But of course, as you referenced, airstrikes in Beirut, across the country, and not knowing what will happen next. And so in this immediate area of Israel, Lebanon, it really is, unsafe for a lot of people. There are hundreds of thousands of displaced Israelis that have moved out of the north. There are hundreds of thousands of displaced Lebanese in the midst of an economic crisis, fleeing to the north. And so it is really tough times for the citizens of all the countries in that immediate region. So on the flip side, if you're moving to some of the other countries we mentioned, in Qatar, in Turkey, you're not feeling any of the impacts there, and everything is, going about your daily normal life.
Right. And for our final wrap-up question today, Professor, the broader implications of what's happening right now, because, as you just said, certain areas are safer, but maybe not necessarily Israel or Lebanon. But this war right now, it started with Hamas, obviously with the October 7th attacks, and then there was this war raging, and then now it seems that the attention, is it more towards Hezbollah, or is it still a very two-pronged war? What do you think?
I think for the Israeli establishment, the Israeli government, it is very much still a two-pronged war, and we see this in that there have been continuous attacks on Gaza, and the international aid community still incredibly concerned about the civilian population in Gaza.
Yes.
I think that you could argue that the Lebanese conflict is getting perhaps more attention right now because Lebanon is a sovereign state. And so even though Israel is not fighting the Lebanese government or the Lebanese military, but incursions into another sovereign state where, of course, Gaza and the West Bank are still, such a contentious issue within the United Nations, it does give that little extra focal point on, why the shift in attention.
Yes. Well, we're going to, of course, continue to follow all that happens in this region. But thank you so much for clarifying and explaining what's been happening in recent days. And once again, take care. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, as always. Always a pleasure.
This was Professor Michael Burch, and we talked about the status of what's happening in the wake of the killing of Yahya Sinwar and what that might mean, the broader implications of this two-pronged war. This was your special interview. We're going to take a short song break, and here is End of the Road by Boyz II Men.
We belong together, and you know that I'm right.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
I'm sorry. We were all singing along and swaying to the song, and then and by the way, Tommy says he has his song, the LP of this song at home.
Oh my gosh.
And then Leslie says every school dance played this song. And you know, and you're like
The memories.
the
flooding
memories,
in.
school dances. I'm like, is someone gonna ask you to slow dance?
Yeah.
You know
Dance
that feeling,
this.
like yes. Far away enough because there are
Hands
lots of
on the
chaperones,
shoulders,
right?
yeah.
And no hands feeling down, none of that. Because the teachers would be like watching you like a hawk, right? Memories, yes.
I love that one.
So, all right, Bonnie's here.
Hello.
Hello for the health, and we want to know what you have for us. What do you have for us?
Oh, okay. Let's get into it.
Yes.
So today we are covering EFT tapping. Have you ever heard of this?
What?
Tapping.
EFT tapping?
Tapping.
Like tap dancing?
Oh.
What
Hey,
tapping?
that's a therapy for some people as well.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
But this one's a little different.
Okay.
So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So who is it for? Anyone with stress or anxiety. This is a really great way. I love this because it's a non-invasive practice that anybody can do anywhere, anytime. And this really helps to manage your feelings. Nowadays, nobody has no stress. Everybody has some sort of stress
Yes.
throughout the day, right? Whatever it may be. And nowadays, we also have modern medicine, so we have lots of different kinds of medications that we can take, but a lot of those have side effects. Or going to the doctor might be expensive. And also, people cope with stress in a lot of different ways, but some ways, like I said, are expensive. Maybe they take up a lot of your time. You have to schedule them in. EFT tapping is, great because it's completely free. You can do it anywhere, like I said. And this, you can even use it to treat symptoms of PTSD, phobias, different kinds of traumas. And these things are usually done with a practitioner or a health professional who can kind of help you administer the techniques to tailor to your specific needs.
Sure.
But it can be done on your own to yourself. And that's why it's kind of been gaining a lot of popularity because people are finding this different kind of stress management skill that they can do wherever.
So, as Leslie says too, I do this. It helps with stress, and and people on our board today, they're sharing with us their kind of work trauma, stuff has been happening at work.
Yeah,
Jerry, one of our listeners.
Well, this is perfect.
He's dealing with a lot of stress right now, so this is perfect. So, emotional freedom techniques. Once again, what exactly is it though?
Okay, so what it is, it combines ancient Eastern medicine practice of acupuncture. I think a lot of us have heard of this, right? And modern day psychological acupressure techniques with a little bit of neuroplasticity in there also. So the foundation is based on the belief that energy flows throughout our body through these pathways called meridians. And the meridians go to these certain points, these meridian points that can address emotional and physical distress in the body. So practitioners usually tap or use needles on these little acupressure or acupuncture points to stimulate the pathways. And that releases blockages you might have, and you kind of restore the body's natural balance, your nervous system, and can kind of balance your emotional system as well. So all of these ailments that are linked to the body's energy system, EFT can tap into those systems and then reduce them. So like stress, anxiety, depression, even like you're talking about work stress, like burnout, even symptoms of burnout, this can help with. So you might be saying, tapping the body, does this really work?
Is it literally tapping
literally using
some
your
of those
fingers
points?
to tap those little meridian points to kind of release those blockages, clear the pathways. And it sounds really holistic and maybe not science-backed, but a lot of research has been coming out on it, and there are a lot of science tests that have come out saying how effective this is.
Okay.
So the National Library of Medicine published a study in 2016 that tested EFT tapping on veterans who are suffering from PTSD.
Okay.
So pretty harsh trauma.
Yes.
Just against standard care. So within 1 month of doing this, participants who received the EFT coaching significantly reduced their psychological stress. And more than half of the test group actually no longer fit the criteria of having PTSD anymore.
That's huge.
Yeah, so kind of completely cured them.
Right, right.
Another study, Science Direct, published research on how EFT tapping can significantly reduce stress, and this was done with healthcare professionals during COVID-19.
Oh my goodness.
And I kind of laugh because out of that whole, during that time, they experienced some of the highest quantities of stress, I'd say.
I agree.
Healthcare professionals really went through it during that time.
Right.
So the people that received this kind of coaching had a lot of success, way more than other methods of stress relief. So it was proven to be effective for them as well during this time. So there is a specific process to this. Okay, so I'm going to take you and our listeners through this so we can practice it ourselves. And then you can do this whenever you like in your car. I'm sure a lot of you listening. Maybe I actually practiced this on the way here.
You did?
Yeah, because I was in my car in a little bit of traffic. We know it's raining a lot out there.
Yes.
And we know when it's raining a lot, people get stressed out on the road and people are running late and it's, harsh weather conditions. So I actually practiced this in the car. So you can do this in the car. Just don't close your eyes or anything. But you can practice this in the car if you're waiting in traffic. So I'll go through the process. How you begin is first you identify the issue. So the specific problem you want to address.
Okay.
So maybe you are stressed out at work. Maybe it's a certain situation. Maybe it's an emotional thing that you're going through. So you want to address that problem first. And then you want to assess the intensity of the issue. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how serious is this issue? How bad are you feeling? 10 being the worst. You're really, really down, or you're really frustrated. You're really upset, to 0. And why we do this is because we want to measure the success of the EFT tapping to see, is this really effective? Am I really feeling better after this? And it's a good thing to kind of self-assess yourself to kind of see how bad you are feeling. Right? To introspectively think, and how bad is the situation that I'm in.
Okay.
And then you also set up your statement. So the specific thing that you say to yourself while you're tapping on these meridian points to kind of put the focus in on that problem, to keep reminding yourself why you are doing this to alleviate this problem. So an example might be, even though I have the specific problem, I deeply and completely accept myself for who I am. Or maybe even though I am feeling very stressed right now, I will feel better. It will get better. I will get through this. So a positive statement to kind of get you through the tapping. So the actual sequence of it, we're going to you can either use the tips of your fingers or the flat part of your fingers. And I would say using the 2 index finger and your middle finger, or some people use just 1 finger, your choice. But the first point that we're going to do is the top of the head. So you put your thumbs kind of on your ears or in your ears, and then have both of your fingers go to the top of your head. So where your fingers meet, that middle point, this is where all the energy meridians meet at the top. So we're going to start there, and you can kind of gently tap the very top of your head, and you can say whatever your statement might be.
The positive statement.
Yeah. Even though I'm feeling very upset right now, I will go to a calm and relaxed state. Something like that.
I will ignore my boss and go to that calm state.
Yes. I will get through this.
I will get there. Yes.
And then the next point is the beginning of the eyebrows. So right the point right above your nose, the beginning of the eyebrow point. So right there, or the center, right in the middle. So you can tap right in the middle, or use both hands and tap on the inside part. And this also affects the bladder meridian and alleviates worry or sadness. So if you are suffering from any kind of sadness, maybe that's a point that you want to tap. Yes. Next point is the side of the eyes. So the outside of your eyes linked to the gallbladder, and this reduces stress or anger and frustration. So if you're
I need
feeling
a lot of this.
angry, You're tapping the outside corners of your eyes. Yes. Then next point is under the eyes. So right underneath the eyes.
Okay.
And this corresponds to a stomach meridian and helps with anxiety and fear. So if you're fearful of something to come, maybe you're anxious about something, tapping right underneath the eyes.
Okay.
Next point is under the nose. So this part promotes self-compassion and emotional balance. So if you're feeling really emotional, you're feeling all over the place, very scattered, right under the nose is where you want to be tapping.
Okay.
And then right at the point of your chin. So right here too. This helps with clarity and personal insight. So maybe you're having trouble making a decision.
I have a question. How hard should we be tapping?
Very lightly.
Lightly, okay.
Yes.
So
not hard.
We don't want to see red marks.
Yeah, not hurting. No,
Just
not at all.
tapping.
Just light tapping.
Okay.
Light tapping.
Okay.
This is supposed to be a calming exercise, reducing your stress. So, not doing it too harshly.
So we got to the chin.
Next is beginning of the collarbone. So right under at the base of our neck, the beginning of the collarbone. This affects also your kidney meridian and helps also reduce stress and fear.
Sure.
Then underneath your arms, so under the armpit.
Right.
This is linked to your spleen and meridian, kind of towards the backside.
Sure.
Alleviates feelings of guilt and worry as well. So if you're feeling guilty about something, you did something that you're worried about, right there. And then to kind of go through the full practice, complete the full cycle going back to the top of the head. So this is going to give yourself a sense of overall balance, peace, calm, relaxation.
Oh, sorry. Was that too loud?
And while you go through all these points, you want to be repeating that statement over and over again. Bringing that focus back to that statement, yes. So whatever you're worrying about, fearful of, stressed about, you're bringing the point back to that, the focus back to that, but feeling calm and relaxed.
This is so doable.
Yes. And the last point I want to point is the karate chop. So it's the outside of your hand.
Right.
So this is called the karate chop area. And also just reducing your stress, bringing everything back to the points, lightly lightly tapping there. So you can do this really anywhere you want. And like I said, what's great about it, it's free. And there's lots of research to back this. Check on any like science.com. Lots of published studies that have been coming out. So everybody, if you're feeling a little bit stressed, if you're in traffic, or if you had a hard day at work,
for real,
tapping wherever,
just
all
doing
these
it all
points
together.
Points that we talked about, one after another, going through the cycle.
People are saying they're doing it right now. Right. I definitely think this is doable for everybody out there.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing this to our attention. EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, and the tapping that goes along with it.
Yes.
Think of that positive statement, though. On that happy note, we're going to end our segment. We look forward to next week.
Thank you.
Everybody, this was Bonnie with the health, and it's raining really, really hard out there. Please be careful, and also be careful of this. 감기 by 이기찬. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
나는 너를 사랑하면 안 되는 거니 나도 내 맘 어쩔 수 없는 거잖아 너 때문에 많이 울고 웃으면서 그래도 참 행복했었는데 1년이면 괜히 돌아올 순 있니 기다리란 말도 하지 않는 거니 아파서 너무 아파서 숨을 쉴 수가 없어서 말 못하는 나를 이해해줘 그래 줄게 지우려고 준비해볼게 잊어줄게 잊으려 노력해볼게 왜 안 되니 널 지우려 애써봐도 기다리면 올 것만 같은데